Dinner at my parents' house always sounded the same, forks tapping, low chatter, the kind of polite noise that kept real feelings buried. I was lifting my glass when Dad's voice cut straight through all of it. "Lila, nobody needs your money. Or you." The words landed so cleanly that the room barely blinked. Mom kept carving the roast like she was focused on making every slice perfect. Brooke leaned back in her chair, swirling her wine with a smirk that said she had been waiting years to hear someone finally say it out loud. I felt heat crawl up my throat, but I held my smile in place. I had been trained for that swallowing hurt so quietly that even I barely heard it. Brooke sighed dramatically. "Honestly, Lil, you take everything so seriously." "We're just talking," Mom added, still looking at the roast. "You work all the time anyway. It's not like you have a family of your own to worry about. You need to stop stressing over nothing." Dad snorted at that, as if our family had just delivered some collective wisdom. "Exactly. This is the truth. No need to make it dramatic." Their words layered on top of each other, each one a familiar dismissal. I had heard versions of them my whole life, just never spoken so boldly at once. I placed my glass down gently, steadying my hand. Saying anything now would only prove their point, so I let silence do the talking for me. For the first time, they actually looked unsettled. Brooke's brow creased. "Why are you looking at us like that?" I didn't answer. Instead, I folded my napkin, slow and neat, placing it beside my plate. A tiny gesture, but it felt like a break in the air. Mom paused mid-slice. Dad's jaw tightened. "I'm heading out," I said softly. Dad waved me off. "Good. Maybe we can move on now." But as I stood, something settled inside me, not anger, not sadness. Just a clean, sharp clarity I had never given myself permission to feel. If the story resonates with you, stay with me. I read every listener's voice, and more stories like this will follow if you want to hear them. The cold air outside hit my face, but the words from dinner kept echoing long after I reached my car. Nobody needs you. It was not new. It was only the first time they had stopped pretending. I sat behind the wheel, hands resting on the steering wheel, and memories started slipping in without permission. Brooke at 12, crying on the porch because she forgot her project at home. Dad yelling that she was irresponsible. Me sprinting 3 blocks to school to deliver it for her. Brooke at 17, begging me to cancel my weekend trip because Grandma needed someone at the house and Mom had plans. I went. Brooke went to a party. Mom at 45, handing me 2 overdue bills from Brooke's apartment. "She just needs a little help," she had said. "You're the steady one." Dad at 50, patting my shoulder. "You are reliable." Lila, "Your sister is not. You understand duty." They always dressed it up like praise. But it all led to the same place, me fixing everything. Them taking without ever seeing the cost. Only Grandma Evelyn had noticed the weight. Her tiny kitchen smelled like peppermint tea and safety. She would rest her hands over mine and whisper, "Your heart is big, honey. But do not let them turn it into a burden. I had promised her I wouldn't. And somewhere along the years, I broke that promise. When I stepped back into the dining room to grab my coat, the conversation had already moved on without me. Brooke was laughing at something on her phone. Mom was wiping the counter. Dad was pouring himself more wine like nothing had happened. Brooke looked up first. "Wow! You are still upset, Lil." "Come on." I slid my coat off the chair without answering. Mom sighed. "This is exactly what we mean. You take everything to heart. We're just being honest with you." Dad didn't look up as he added, "You cannot expect people to tiptoe around your sensitivities forever." The 3 of them spoke in that same rhythm I grew up under dismissal dressed as practicality, cruelty hidden behind the word truth. I slipped one arm into my coat. "I heard you," I said quietly. Brooke scoffed. "Good. Then stop overreacting. Dad finally lifted his eyes. If you stay, eat. If you go, go. But stop creating tension. Their certainty stunned me more than the insult they started with. They truly believed none of this mattered, that I would bend like always, absorb the hit, make peace, come back to fix whatever needed fixing next. I reached for my napkin on the table and folded it carefully, the way Grandma Evelyn had taught me when I was little. Clean lines, crisp corners, a small motion, but the room stilled around it. Mom frowned. "Lila, what are you doing?" "Leaving," I said. Dad waved a dismissive hand. "Finally," Brooke muttered, "drama queen." I walked toward the door, the weight in my chest shifting into something sharper, steadier. For once, I was not carrying anything for them. By the time I reached my apartment in Minneapolis, the silence felt heavier than the cold outside. I dropped my keys on the table and stood there for a moment, letting the quiet settle over me. No one calling my name, no one asking for a favor, no one needing anything. I sat down at my small dining table and opened my laptop. My fingers hovered over the trackpad before I finally clicked on a folder I had avoided for years. Family expenses, 2017 to 2024. The list filled the screen instantly, a long column of transactions that looked harmless on their own. But together, they painted a picture I had never let myself look at too closely. Brooke's emergency phone bill, Brooke's overdue car insurance, Mom's temporary utility payment that I covered for 6 straight months, Dad's unexpected dental cost, which turned out to be a payment he had simply forgotten about. All of it mixed with dozens, no, hundreds of transfers, each one between $80 and $350. Little amounts I could not even remember sending, little amounts they never remembered owing. A tightness spread across my chest. Not anger, yet just recognition. Every time they said I was reliable, this was what they meant. A message notification blinked on my screen. "Brooke, did you make that transfer yet? Jason says his card got locked. Fix it." I closed the message without replying. My eyes drifted to a file near the bottom of the folder. One I had never clicked because I had never needed to. Loan account, Mid-North Bank. I opened it. The words on the page sharpened instantly. Personal flex loan. Balance $24,800. Past due 45 days. My breath caught. I had never borrowed a single dollar. For a long moment, I just stared at the screen, waiting for something to make sense. A $24,800 loan in my name. Past due, accruing fees. I scrolled through the details with a hollow feeling spreading through my ribs. The signature on the digital form looked like mine, close enough that a bank clerk rushing through paperwork might not question it. But the phone number listed was Brooke's. The backup contact was Jason. My hands started to shake. A memory surfaced, Brooke shoving a stack of papers at me months earlier. "Just sign this." "Lil, it's for Jason's business. You're good with this legal stuff." She had held her phone over the top page so I could not read the rest. "It's nothing. A formality. You trust me." "Right." I had pushed the papers back. "Brooke, no. Not without reading it." She had rolled her eyes so hard it almost rattled the windows. "You make everything difficult." Now I understood why she had reacted that way. I closed the loan document and pulled up my credit report. The screen loaded slowly, each new entry twisting my stomach tighter. A business credit card tied to Jason's landscaping company, my name listed as the secondary account holder. 2 hard inquiries from lenders I had never contacted. A line of credit increase request submitted at midnight on a weekday, my signature forged again. My phone buzzed. A message from Jason. "The bank froze our card. What did you do?" "Fix it now." I set the phone face down. Another message appeared, this time from Mom. "Brooke is stressed. She said you caused issues with the bank. You need to help your sister. Help her." Even now, that was all they saw. My pulse steadied as I gathered every document into a new folder on my desktop. Then I opened my email and typed the address Jen had given me months earlier. Attorney Sam Harper. I wrote only one line before attaching everything. I need help. And then I hit send. Attorney Sam Harper called the next morning. His voice was calm, steady, the kind of tone meant to ground someone who had just realized their life was not what they thought it was. I reviewed everything you sent, he said. This is not informal family help. This is financial identity misuse and coerced lending. We can move forward, if you want. I sat on the edge of my bed. I do. He scheduled a meeting for that afternoon at his office in downtown Minneapolis. When I arrived, he greeted me with a small nod and motioned me into a conference room where my documents were already spread across the table. He tapped the first page. The personal loan of $24,800. Taken using your Social Security information. The contact details belong to your sister and her husband. I never signed anything, I said. Harper nodded. The signature is close to yours, but not precise. It will not hold under review. He moved to the next set of papers. This business credit card your brother-in-law added you as a secondary account holder without your knowledge. Minnesota law is strict on identity misuse. This qualifies. I exhaled slowly. They will say I helped willingly. His expression didn't change. That does not match the pattern. There are over 170 small transfers, all from your account to theirs, and not a single documented repayment, combined with the forged forms. This is a clear case. For a moment, guilt rose like an old reflex. They're my family. He folded his hands. Family does not get to violate your identity. They do not get to put debt in your name. They do not get to decide that your stability belongs to them. I looked down at my hands. They always said I was the reliable one. That reliability does not make you responsible for their choices. He guided me through the next steps, filing a civil exploitation claim, submitting a fraud report to the Minnesota Department of Commerce, requesting immediate investigation from Mid-North Bank. Each step felt like both a punch and a release. Later that week, the ripple began. Brooke texted first. Why are my cards getting rejected? This is on you. Fix it. Jason followed. My business account is frozen. What did you do? Lila Mom left a voicemail, her tone tight and trembling. Your sister is upset. Your father thinks you are overreacting. Call us back. I didn't. A few days later, Harper called again. The bank has accepted the fraud claim. State investigators will be visiting your family soon. You will not need to be present unless you want to be. I stared at Grandma Evelyn's old key on my counter. The metal felt warm in my hand. I'll be there, I said. The Sunday dinner table looked exactly the same as the night everything cracked. Same plates, same chairs, same people waiting for me to fall back in line. Dad didn't bother hiding his annoyance. Are you here to apologize? Mom's voice softened in that familiar, rehearsed way. We should keep things private. Lila, whatever you told the bank, undo it. Brooke crossed her arms. Jason's business card is still frozen. You made a mess, and you need to clean it up. I stayed standing. Some people at Mid-North Bank were very interested in how a $24,800 loan ended up in my name. Brooke's face tightened. Do not twist this. You always offered to help. Before I could answer, 3 loud knocks hit the front door. Dad frowned, pushing his chair back. When he opened it, 2 investigators stepped inside. Badges raised. Richard Thompson, Karen Thompson, Brooke Thompson, and Jason Reed. One of them said, "We are here to discuss an active investigation involving unauthorized credit use, coerced lending, and identity misuse." Mom's hand flew to her chest. There must be a mistake. The investigator shook her head. The evidence is substantial. We need to speak with each of you. Brooke rounded on me. What did you do? I met her eyes. I stopped hiding what you did. Dad tried to steady himself. If you walk out that door now, don't come back. I stepped past him, voice steady. I left a long time ago. You're just noticing now. The fallout began within days. Brooke's messages came first. My cards still aren't working. They said the account is under review. Fix this. Lila. Then Jason. The bank froze every line tied to my business. You ruined everything. Call them. I deleted both. Mom's email arrived late at night, paragraphs of guilt and half apologies. Your sister is overwhelmed. Your father is devastated. We did not understand how serious this was. Please talk to us. Lila. Dad still refused to contact me directly. Jen, the co-worker who had given me Harper's name, sent a quieter message. I heard what happened. You did the right thing. Some people never stop taking until you draw a line. Her words steadied something inside me. For the first time in years, no one was reaching out to ask for money, only consequences. I moved to Madison a week later, into a small apartment with creaking floors and sunlight that felt gentler than anything I had known in years. No emergency calls, no sudden demands, just space that belonged entirely to me. I unpacked slowly, leaving one box for last. Inside, it was Grandma Evelyn's old key, worn from years of being held by steadier hands than mine. I set it on a hook by the door. Not a reminder of what I escaped, just of who once believed I deserved more than obligation. That night, I sat by the window and watched the city lights flicker against the dark. My phone stayed silent on the table. Their panic, their anger, their guilt, they were all somewhere far behind me. If my story feels familiar, stay with me. I read every voice that reaches out, and if you want more stories like this, you'll hear them soon.